following video is a critique of video quality being used as a trope in every single internet-based questioning of reality you see by providing ambiguity so we can read things into it. Meaning the red circle around the blotch on the screen, UFO meme, and or trope. So what we're going to do is we're looking at a 720p version of the video. First thing I'm going to point out is everything on the screen is extremely blurry because the camera, which is up in a helicopter in Delphi, Indiana, during an incident where 2 young people lost their lives, this camera isn't focused correctly. Cameras aren't magic. They have to be operated in reality, and reality doesn't always cooperate with what we want. Now, the reason we can tell it's the camera optics is we look at the logo down here, the WRTV6 ABC affiliate in Indiana, and we can see that it has very high resolution around the labeling here on the logo. Normally I hate logos. I have a absolute vengeful attitude towards anything that could ever be considered evidence, which, by the way, this video is not evidence, but anything produced and generated should have a raw copy and one that has a logo. The raw copy should make it physically impossible for someone to see a logo. I don't care if your news affiliate has a copyright to it. It becomes evidence when people treat it as such. Make a raw copy. Thank you. Now let's move on. We're going to be looking at the video, and I'm going to try going forward and back in the video. And it did it this time. I won't complain about dealing with the utility I'm dealing with to look at the video here and it acting up, but let's move on. We're going to watch the video, and we're going to wait for the first time the video is actually focused. And it isn't going to be all focused, most of it. Now that's fairly well focused, but it's still blurry as hell when you pause it. Motion video, by motion itself, creates, in some cases, a false sense of resolution. Also, effectively, really a high resolution. But that's another video. Let's do this one. As we move forward, we see that our people with the yellow helmet and the red clothing are in the water. And the claim is, and people did do the red circle and the whole meme, that this here is a person in the water. It isn't. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go backwards and forward, hopefully a frame at a time. And we get a little bit of a perspective, but honestly, we're better off doing the motion. Those are plant material attached to that tree. That's leaves and seed pods. It's not a body. It just is not. Let's move forward. And it continues doing it, and right there, let's go back a couple of notches. It blurs heavily. Now, you can, on a camera like this, force it to keep focusing by just setting the focus and not changing it. But that's a lot to juggle if you're just a camera person. And again, this person doing this didn't know years later that someone would try to get Patreon money by putting up a video claiming something preposterous about the video. And by the way, I want to point out that virtually every video that you see on the subject will use a 360p instead of 720p. And I have to point this out. A news channel, I have to say this, used Facebook to contain this decent quality video instead of having it on their website and not erasing it. I absolutely detest the mass media news reporting system that we have in place that regularly erases things. And even though I hate it, I am so glad that this was on Facebook and I could download it and keep it from getting erased. And yeah, I'm going to keep a copy somewhere in my hard drive now, I guess. I guess I'm stuck with it. As we move forward, you can look at it again and see that this is not something in the water, it's something above the water. Now, the angle we see here, if you want to look at this is being the tree over here. We're lined up to where we'll see a shadow behind it eventually if we go around enough, but we may not. There isn't any person in the water at all, period, full stop. And then right at this point, when we would need to be able to zoom in, the cameraman zooms out. Of course, because zooming out creates ambiguity. Requirement. And I've actually taught a class on how to do documentation and document versus documentary video and filming. And I am notorious for saying this, but I have glued people's cameras to where they couldn't zoom in and out, because for dramatic effect, you deserve to never ever touch a camera again. In this case, this person's trying to take in the entire scene, including these people in the right-hand side here. But the point is, again, this camera operator did not know that by zooming back out, this would create ambiguity and people could make the assertion that there was someone in the water who was not alive.